Hello and welcome on 360 Sport on Trust TV. I am Adeni Ajishafe. We'll be looking at, well, from the way it is, Nigerians are waiting because of the fact that election will be coming up September 30, even though an issue of court injunction or thereabout, well, from the way it is, that one can actually have solution. Well, we'll be having someone that will be talking about his plans and also all the other things that has to do with Nigerian Football Federation and also development of Nigerian football. We have to talk about it with the guest. The guest is someone who actually has seen it all. He has been there as a former Vice General Secretary of Nigerian Football Federation. He also rose to become the General Secretary of Nigerian Football Federation before he voluntarily resigned. We have in the studio, we have Musa Ahmadu, a trained lawyer, who will be talking to us concerning Nigerian Football Federation, also his presidential aspirant of NFF. Right now, good to have you in the studio.
Thank you, Adeni. It's my pleasure to be here today.
Well, in fact, I want to appreciate the fact that you are in the studio to talk about football development in Nigeria. Well, like I said earlier, you've seen it all. You've been there as Assistant General Secretary. You've been there as General Secretary of Nigerian Football Federation. Now, if you are to look at your antecedent in Nigerian football, it's something that you can say, yes, you can actually call you one of the gurus when it comes to Nigerian football, even though you are a lawyer. Maybe I should start with it this way. Where did law meet football?
Well, for me personally,
yes.
I would say I trained as a lawyer. I was called to bar 35 years ago, 1987. And, but my passion for football and sports generally has always been there since I was a child. And I remember when I started practicing law, I had the feeling that one day I would belong to the Nigeria Football Federation to contribute my quota. And that was why 20 years ago, I decided to go and do what is called the International Master in Law, Management and Humanities of Sports. This covers 3 universities in Europe, De Montfort University in Leicester, Bocconi School of Management in Milan, Italy, and the University of Neuchâtel in Switzerland. And I was the first Nigerian to be qualified.
You are the first Nigerian.
Yes, to be qualified as having a FIFA master's degree. So law and sports go together because law is about law and order. Sports has to have regulations, how things should be structured and administered. And I felt that my true calling was in the area of sports and football in particular. So this was what informed me to seek for employment in 2008, 2007, and become the Deputy General Secretary of the Football Federation, where I worked under a very able General Secretary, Bolaji Ojoba. I learned the ropes, and eventually I became the General Secretary in 2010, and the most successful General Secretary in the history of Nigerian football. Because during my time, when I was the General Secretary under President Amin Megari, Nigeria was able to get 13 global trophies. And this is unprecedented.
Can you mention any of these trophies?
Well, the Africa Cup of Nations, obviously, in 2013 in South Africa. We also won the Under-17 tournament in UAE in 2013. But the talking point or the highlight of my career was when we won the African Cup of Nations in 2013 under the late coach Stephen Keshi.
Good one there. He has just given us a brief of how law actually made football, and at least there are force in his life. But good one. We've been talking with Musa Ahmadu, and he will be giving us more concerning looking at football development in Nigeria. Now, our focus actually is going to be about this because there is no way you can talk about football. It has to come from the grassroots. That's the bedrock of every nation that wants to exist. Even Brazil, that they are the king of football, so to say, they have grassroots football going well. Let me take you on this second question that has to do with Nigerian grassroots football development to some extent, even though it's always a kind of a bit not too stable. You, as someone who really wants to vie for the NFF presidency, and it's always good, as they say, catch them young. What Absolutely. Are your plans?
Well, my plans are these. The state football associations, they are the best vehicle to drive grassroots and youth football development in their states. And they need to be adequately funded. There must be a cascade of funds from the federation to the state football associations for them to be able to go to the grassroots. And when we talk about the grassroots, we're going to the real bottom, so that they are now able to, in all their councils, to discover new talents, nurture them, have their coach, and put them in local competition where they will grow. And if we don't get it right by going to the grassroots through the state football associations, ensure they have that funding, that platform for them to be able to deliver, we will not be able to get it right. It's something that we need to do from the state football association, from the council level to the state level, to the zonal levels within a particular region, and also to the national level. We need to build these players and bring them up so that at the end of the day, if we are able to do under 13, under 15, under 17 competitions in all the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, at any given time Nigeria wants players for international competitions, these players are there. So we need not pay lip service to the fact that we need to develop our grassroots football programs the way they should be, not the way we do it now. Only when we have competitions, in international competitions, do we bring players in on trial basis to Abuja in order to get players. But if we do this on a regular basis, we will be able to have these players in all the 6 zones. At any given time, we have all their databases, and we'll grow football that way. And this is what we need to do. We need to empower the state football associations. We need to make them be our partners, not the kind of master-servant relationship that exists now between the federation and the football association. They are partners that will now be involved in the grassroots.
Good one. Now, when you look at just from the way you explained it, I love the fact that you were able to go deeper, even to the extent where I never expected. But let's look at it this way. At times, when we go for competition, like you mentioned, fire brigade approach of just go there and win and come back. We have like you mentioned, under 17, under 20. Let them evolve. That should be at least evolution from one team moving to the next one. The same set of player or crop of players, if they are together, working together as a team, they will get better by the time they move from 17 to 20. So they go the Olympic team and then to Super Eagles. There is no team in the world that if they face that will not be scared of them. What do you have in plan concerning this particular thing I just raised? Yes, you have good relationship with the state associations. You locate and have good rapport with the local government and the state, and also make sure these players are given the chance. But now, how do we keep these players together? For us to, because we noticed that after they win or they didn't win, they disband the team. You will see only 1 or 2 that will move to the next round. But this time around, we need to keep them together.
Yeah, but this is the whole idea we're talking about. If we keep a database of our players from the age of 13, for example, there will be no need for age falsification. Their ages will be there, their data will be there, and we'll be able to key into this. Unfortunately, over the years, we have not been doing what we should do in terms of keeping a data of all our players, particularly as it relates to their age, so that a time would come when we believe they had reached that place where we can now tap into their vast experience and all that, and we find they are dwindling instead of improving. So if we do it properly and we get it right, these players at the ages of 20 up to 25 and 32 will be playing for Nigeria. I'll give you an example. Since 2007, we won the 17 World Cup in Korea. We beat Spain, we beat Germany, we beat Argentina. But players like Toni Kroos are still playing for Real Madrid. Players like De Gea are still playing for Manchester United. And none of those players that played for us in that competition
can't even locate
are anywhere in the football scene. Perhaps they are playing somewhere in
Slovakia,
Croatia, in third or second division there. It's not good enough. But if we do it very well, and we know that these are developmental programs, competitions, it's not a win or it's not a win at all costs, and we ensure that we get it right, these players will benefit from their talents when they come to play for the senior national team.
Good one. Now, while we actually leave the grassroots football a bit, I will be taking, before we go to the NFF election, let's talk about women football in Nigeria. Really, to some extent, even though the men, they've won the Nations Cup 3 times, but the ladies have won it 9 good times. And it seems the attention the Super Eagles get, or let me say the attention the men and boys get, the ladies don't get it. Under 17, that's Flamingos, Falconet, and also Super Falcons. If, for example, you have the opportunity to be the NFF president, what are you going to do to make sure the women are given that good platform where their voice or voices will be heard too?
Well, I mean, we just have to improve the women's game. And the problem right now is that even at the grassroots level, we don't encourage, the girl child to play the game of football throughout the country. It only happens probably in the southern part of the country. In the northern part, that attention is not given the way it should be. So we have to have academies that will try and build the girl child from a very young age, expose them to play in the game of football. And that's why I'm encouraged with an ex-player like Maureen Madu, who has an academy for girls somewhere in the East. And she's using a lot of our resources to ensure that she begins to train these girls from an early stage. But importantly also, we have to make sure that we get the women's league going the way it should. We should rebrand it and repackage it and make it available for proper coaching and bringing up of these girls. Now, on the African scene, the situation we have now is unfortunate. We became complacent as African champions maybe 10 times over, and it got into our head. And we thought we have arrived on the African continent when we should go beyond the African continent and look for honors globally. And other countries such as South Africa, Zambia, Cameroon, even Morocco, as you saw
yes, they are really edging.
They've really come up to challenge us. And the problem is that there are a lot of players in that team who are surplus to requirement with regard to their ages. And you don't have players who are ready there to fit into their shoes. So we must look ourselves in the face and tell ourselves the truth. We are no longer the strong force we are in Africa, and we must look inwards and encourage our women's league to now produce the talent. Young girls who are ready, committed, patriotic enough to play for this country, and for us to be able to now come back to African dominance and then begin to challenge the established countries of the world, to be able to compete with them on a level playing field.
Good one. Now, we've been talking with Musa Ahmadu, who right now has been with us in the studio talking about Nigerian football development. And we've been talking concerning a lot of issues. We talked about the women, the grassroots, and also how Nigeria just have to get it right. Now, let's go to the NFF election. You, as an astute football administrator, what change are you bringing to the table?
A lot of changes. And that's why what we say in terms of my own presidential aspiration is let's get it right. A lot of things are wrong with our football, both off and on the field of play. What we do off the field of play is what translates on the field of play. So we just have to get it right. Structurally, the governance structure in our football is not right. And there are a lot of legal issues. The framework is not correct. And that's why we have a lot of people going to court, and we don't carry everybody along. A lot of stakeholders out there are not being carried along, and that's why they feel aggrieved. That's why they feel they can go to courts and seek for resolution or whatever disputes they have. Even the the dispute mechanism we're supposed to have for internal dispute resolution is not being put in by the NFF. So we just have to do things properly and rightly. And we have to now remove that image that everybody has about Nigerian football to be disorganized, incompetent, and corrupt. We just have to remove that. And we just have to clean up our image and get it right. We have to work patriotically for the growth of the game in Nigeria, and to ensure that everybody is carried along, and to ensure that we do things transparently with integrity and commitment. And this is what we're trying to bring on the table. The administration that we have for the last 8 years has not delivered. Nigerians are aggrieved. They are saddened that they are not going to participate in the Qatar World Cup in a couple of months' time. And we're supposed to be the giant of Africa in all respects. We're supposed to be the #1 member association in Africa and challenging in the top 20 in FIFA rankings, but we are not. And you see a little country like Senegal, in terms of human potential, being ranked #1 in Africa and number 18 in the world. It's just not good enough. We just have to get it right and do everything possible to make sure that we are #1 in Africa and in the top 20 in the world. In 1994, if you remember, when we became African champions in Tunisia during the Nations Cup, we went to North America, to the US precisely, and we played scintillating, exciting
football. As you remember, we were judged 5th in the world.
We were 5th in the world. And so where has that slide started from? We even became Olympic champions 2 years after. The whole African continent was so happy and gladdened, and we opened the path for other countries like Cameroon to also win the Olympic gold. So we just have to do things rightly and get it right and make sure that we get back our football back where it's supposed to be. Nigeria is supposed to export, rather, more talent to the continent of Europe than all the African countries put together. So why are we where we are? Why are we fluttering instead of being a country that is feared in Africa and globally? Because this country is blessed with so much talent. There are so many Okochas and Kanus and Amokachis out there, and it is our task and responsibility to ensure that we discover this new talent and bring back the glory days of our football.
Well, it has been a wonderful time with Musa Ahmadu in the studio. Well, right now, let me take you back to NFF. You were there as General Secretary, Assistant General Secretary, and all. What really happened? If you can share with us, what happened that you actually decided to resign?
Well, it's a long story.
Okay, maybe you should summarize it.
I'm trying to put everything behind me because if you dwell on the past, you can't move forward. You can't move forward. You can't plan your future. Issues arose with regard to funding, and I felt certain funds should be utilized for our programs and activities. The leadership then felt those funds should leave the Federation somewhere. And I stood my ground to say these funds must remain within the Federation to carry out our programs and activities. And because I had issues with the leadership who felt otherwise, I had to leave the Federation. I resigned my appointment and I left the place. There's nothing wrong with resigning your appointment on principle. If you feel things are not doing the right way, the way they should be done, you should leave that place and allow people to run the Federation that they want to, the way they want to. Sadly, you can see the result after 8 years. I assure you, if I was there as the General Secretary, we would not be where we are today.
Because of the fact that you are always standing your ground, I
Absolutely.
guess. Okay, now, from what you have just spoken, looking at your pedigree or integrity or thereabouts, for the fact that you fought hard not to allow some fund to be taken, and that cost you your position. Now, let's look at their solution. As their solution, because if you look at it, Nigerian football, the league, the issue of sponsorship, players' welfare, referee indemnity, here and there, a lot of issues that has to do with Nigerian football, both in the league, both the football, as in Super Eagles, Super Falcons, all the Golden Eaglet and all that. You just look at it, it's very huge, monstrous issue. Are there solutions?
No, there are solutions there. It's not rocket science, It's not rocket science administration of football in Nigeria or anywhere in the world. You just have to get it right by bringing people who are committed, are passionate about the game, and can administer football for the national interest. Once you put your personal interest ahead of whatever you do, you will not get it right. You have to ensure that what your nation needs in terms of administering the game for Nigerians to enjoy must be done. Football is a national asset. That's what President Muhammadu Buhari has emphasized. And it is a vehicle for unity. When Nigeria is playing football, every person, by whatever religion, creed, tribe, region, is just excited. And it brings a lot of passion to our people. And we should use that vehicle to ensure we make Nigerians happy. And like I said, it's not rocket science. It's just to be committed and use funds for whatever they are meant for to drive the growth of the game in Nigeria. I give you an example. Nigeria is supposed to have something like a national training center in Abuja here on a vast expanse of land where all our national teams will have sufficient accommodation to train on at least 10 pitches, to have restaurants, sauna facilities, medical facilities, the whole lot. And if we have this sort of facility in place, you won't have a question of where NFF is owing hotels everywhere. The last I heard was 600 million. I don't know whether in 10 days' time, when this administration leaves office, whether it will not reach ₦1 billion. It's not good enough for our football. We must have a national training center for all our national teams where they can come in a secure, serene environment and train for competitions and go to make Nigeria proud. This is the focus of what we have to do. We also have to ensure that we rebrand and repackage our Premier League. The Premier League used to be among the top 5 in Africa. I'm not sure what position it holds now, whether it's 10 or 15.
Far away.
And this is the reason why, sadly, we have the offices of the Premier League locked up. If things are done in a transparent way and people see that we are getting results, we won't be where we are. So we have to clean up the governance structure. We have to make sure that we rebrand and get sufficient sponsorship for our leagues. We also have to ensure that our referees are top-notch. Our referees now are being put under all sorts of insecurity in the discharge of their functions, and the working environment they have is not good enough. They are owed indemnities, they travel by road, they face all sorts of security issues. Even if they go into the field of play, irate fans are after them, football administrators are trying to get them to change their decisions. It's not good enough. We just have to get it right and do what we are supposed to do to ensure that our leagues, whether it's Premier League, National League, Women's League, Nationwide League, is run in a professional way.
Good one. Now, even though you've mentioned all this, there's another big issue that rocks Nigerian football, might be the last to take on the show. It has to do with money politics. Money politics, integrity tests and all that. And a lot of Nigerians are looking at, oh, this candidate is supported by government. This candidate is, is also person's candidate and all that. Of all the 11 contestants now, you are 11 approved, cleared rather, by the electoral committee. I want to make the question 2 in 1. Are you government candidates? 1. And then money politics. How do you think we can eradicate this? Or if we cannot even eradicate it totally, how can we reduce this particular menace in Nigerian football?
Well, I don't know. I don't know really where to start with your question. Whoever is administering football in Nigeria is doing it at the behest and at the privilege given to him by the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There was a country first before there was a sports federation. And we shouldn't becloud ourselves that government is not interested in the running of football. Government is interested in how football is run. And that is why they have the 10-year football master plan, which was approved by Mr. President. We have to ensure that whatever we do we have a robust working relationship with government. I'll give you an example. If Nigeria is to host any international competitions, the NFF must go to government to get all the guarantees that they need. If they don't have those government guarantees, there's no such competition internationally that can take place in Nigeria. So it is critically important that the relationship between those who administer the game on behalf of the country and the government itself is such that there is, I would say, we're all moving in the same direction to make Nigeria great on the field of play. And when we win, everybody is happy. Government is happy, the administrators are happy, fans are happy, every other stakeholder is happy. So we must ensure that we do that which will make everybody happy, including the government. Now, with regard to money politics in football, it is something that has been bedeviling football all over the world. I remember some few years ago, the FBI in the United States of America had to raid a hotel in Switzerland where top executives of FIFA were taken away and taken to the US to face justice. This is not good enough. Anywhere we have money politics or money is changing hands under the table, we will not have integrity and transparency in what we do. We must ensure that money politics leaves our football and let those who are committed, who have a passion, drive our administration. This is all I can say.
Good one there. We've been talking with Musa Ahmadu, former NFF's General Secretary, former Assistant General Secretary, who has been with us talking about his aspiration, also his plans for Nigerian football, if eventually he gets nailed to be at the end of affairs at the NFF Secretariat there. It's a wonderful one. Just a line, a word, or rather, just a sentence. If today you are given the chance to become Nigerian Football Federation president, what are we expecting? Just one sentence.
We will get it right. We will put processes and structures and people and everything to make us get it right in our football administration.
Just call him Mr. Get It Right. That's his name right now. We've been talking with Musa Ahmadu and want to appreciate your time with us in the studio. 360 Sport on Trust TV, really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming. I am Adeni Ajishafe. Sport is always business and fitness. Thanks for watching.